Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're doing something really fun today. We are diving into the legendary classic story of the well is yours, the water is mine. It's this brilliant age-old tale all about property rights, flawless logic, and honestly, a wildly cunning trick that just spectacularly backfires. It's a great story, so let's jump right in. To get us started, I want you to really think about this for a second. If you buy an object, do you automatically own what's inside of it, too? I mean, it sounds like a totally obvious yes, right? If you buy a house, you obviously assume you have the right to breathe the air inside it. If you grab a bottle of water at the store, you're not just paying for the plastic container, you want the actual water. But what happens when someone tries to legally and deliberately separate an object from its most basic natural contents? This question is basically the entire foundation of the central conflict we're looking at today. It really challenges our everyday assumptions about what ownership actually means, and it sets the stage for what is honestly one of the most comedic legal showdowns you could ever imagine. Okay, let's dive into this. Picture a bright, dusty village. Our two main characters here are Ramu, who's this hardworking, really sharp-minded farmer, and Gopi. Now, Gopi is a merchant who is absolutely always looking to squeeze just one extra coin out of every single deal he makes. So Ramu needs a reliable water source for his crops, right? He approaches Gopi, and he buys an old stone well from him. It's a totally simple, standard transaction. Money changes hands, handshakes are exchanged, and Ramu walks away completely believing he's just secured a well for his farm. At this point, everything seems perfectly normal, no red flags. But the real story kicks off just moments after this deal is done, right when Ramu actually tries to use his newly bought property. Imagine the scene. Ramu walks over, lowers his bucket into the well, and out of nowhere, Gopi rushes over and physically blocks him. With this incredibly fast, cunning tone, literally rubbing his hands together and flashing this super arrogant smirk, Gopi declares, "Hey, I only sold you the well, not the water. If you want to use the water, you have got to pay me extra." I mean, it's just incredibly brazen. Gopi is actively trying to exploit what he thinks is a clever loophole in their verbal contract. His body language is entirely predatory here. He seriously thinks he has just pulled off the ultimate scam, trapping Ramu right there next to the stone well. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer absurdity of Gopi's claim. I mean, look at this. On one side, we have Ramu's legal ownership, the physical structure of the stone well itself. And on the other side, we have Gopi's incredibly greedy argument, the water just sitting inside that exact well. Gopi is literally trying to separate the container from the very thing it was built to contain. It's like selling someone a car but suddenly demanding extra cash every single time they sit on the seats. By splitting the well and the water into two completely distinct assets, Gopi is trying to just invent a continuous revenue stream out of thin air. It's a massive, ridiculous leap of logic, driven entirely by sheer greed. Now, what's really fascinating here is Ramu's reaction. Because, a lesser person might have yelled, thrown a punch, or just completely panicked at being extorted like this. But Ramu? He doesn't even sweat. His body language is the total exact opposite of Gopi's manic, scheming greed. Ramu just stands there, perfectly calm, and offers this witty, confident little smile. He knows better than to argue with a fool. Instead, he just turns on his heel and calmly takes this incredibly strange dispute directly to the village elders and the local judge. Once they're in court, the judge listens to this whole bizarre situation and asks Gopi a really simple, clarifying question. Do you admit that you sold the well to Ramu? And Gopi, still wearing that smug little grin, proudly confirms it. Yes, I sold the well, but absolutely not the water. And here is where everything changes. The judge looks right at Gopi and asks a devastating question. Then, why is your water in Ramu's well? Just let that sink in for a second. This is the absolute pivotal turning point of the entire explainer. The judge doesn't even bother arguing with Gopi about what was sold. Instead, he completely accepts Gopi's ridiculous promise and uses it to spring a flawless legal trap. Because think about it. If the water truly belongs to Gopi and the well truly belongs to Ramu, then Gopi is suddenly committing a massive offense against Ramu's private property. The judge uses this exact logic to build an inescapable corner for Gopi, laying out this absolutely brilliant two-part ultimatum. Step 1. If it is indeed your water, you must take it out of Ramu's well immediately, like right now. Step 2. Since you have been storing your personal water in Ramu's privately owned well without his permission, you must pay Ramu rent for the storage. And boom, the trap completely snaps shut. The judge has taken Gopi's own predatory logic and just totally reversed it on him. Suddenly, the guy who was trying to extort extra money is the one being threatened with a massive, immediate bill. Which brings us to the climax of our story. Right back beside that stone well, the comedic shift in body language is instantaneous. Gopi's arrogant little smirk just completely vanishes. His jaw drops, his eyes are wide with sudden shock and complete confusion. He's literally biting his tongue, finally realizing that his own cunning trick has spectacularly backfired. Meanwhile, Ramu is just standing there, totally relaxed, arms casually crossed, beaming with that exact same calm, witty confidence he had from the very start. It is an incredibly satisfying dramatic interaction, mostly because we get to watch the exact, precise second this greedy merchant realizes he has been completely and utterly outsmarted by his own logic. So, how does it end? Well, Gopi is faced with a practical impossibility. He obviously cannot instantly remove thousands of gallons of water, and he for sure doesn't want to start paying rent to Ramu. Defeated and frankly humiliated by his own trap, Gopi is forced to just eat crow and admit his mistake. He officially withdraws his ridiculous claim over the water. The judge formally rules that Ramu has full unencumbered rights to both the well and the water inside it, and Ramu doesn't have to pay a single extra coin. The whole conflict is beautifully resolved, not by shouting or force, but simply by outthinking the trickster. So what does this all mean for us? There are a few crucial takeaways here. First, deceit almost always turns against the trickster. When you try to twist the rules to hurt someone else, those same twisted rules will eventually come back to trap you. Second, and this is actually highly relevant even in modern property law, sales naturally include the rights required to actually use the property. You literally can't sell a well without the right to draw water. Just like you can't sell an apple orchard but claim the right to keep all the apples. It just doesn't work. And third, logic will always defeat cheap cunning. Ramu's calm reliance on reason completely dismantled Gopi's emotional, greedy attempt at extortion. We'll wrap up today's explainer with this thought-provoking quote: "Cunning will never stand before law and logic." So, have you ever faced someone like Gopi in your own life? It's a question worth asking, right? Because we all occasionally run into people who try to shift the goalposts, change the rules of an agreement at the last minute, or use sneaky loopholes to take advantage of us. But as Ramu so brilliantly demonstrated, the absolute best defense isn't to get angry. It's to stay calm, stand your ground, and just let their own flawed logic be their undoing. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredibly satisfying story today. Keep analyzing, keep thinking logically, and I'll see you in the next explainer.